Okay. Before we get rolling, can you do that stink face one more time that you gave? Like that really just disgusted, like, ugh. Ugh. It feels like forever since we've been in here.
Well, it has been. You've been busy with stuff. I've been busy with stuff. That's just life.
It is. It always keeps us busy, but we got a long list of friends that came by that helped out.
Thanks for holding the fort down, peeps.
Yes. I think the most recent episode is going to be Jen reading my entire star chart, which was kind of interesting. I had to light a candle, and we read a lot of stuff that I did not understand, and I think I know more about myself from that.
Well, I'm interested in watching that episode just because of the fact that I find some of the stuff she tells us fascinating. But not only that, I think it's more or less your reaction because you're not really into the whole astrology thing, but she is.
Yeah, the woo-woo stuff, I was like, yeah, I could see that. You know, I can definitely tell some of it's accurate. I'm not sure if it's by design or if it's just by pure luck. I don't know. Probably a little bit of both.
I mean, it's kind of hard to tell. For people who's into astrology would tell you that it's like factual facts, right? But other people who are kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say non-believers, but not fully on board, probably think it's luck, to be honest. It's kind of like when you go see a psychic, you know?
Yeah.
Like Miss Cleo.
Yeah, because they always say, like, it's like a magic trick almost. It's like, you know that at the end, it's going to be your card. And it's like, is this your card? You're like, yeah, of course it's my card. That's how the card tricks work and everything. But like, I don't know. It could be a little bit of that. It could be a little bit of maybe some mysticism that I don't understand. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got a lot of insight, obviously, from the recording with Jen and her reading your chart. So I'm interested in seeing it. Yeah. You never know.
Yeah, I think it'll come out just before this episode. And what we got to do is we've already been called out for this one is the missing episode 3. People on the interwebs already called it out. They're like, where's the missing episode 3? Because I think in numbers it went 1, 2, 4. And the reality is I'm still figuring out how to do some of this shit, and I messed up that episode recording.
It happens. This is trial and error. We're learning this as we go. We're learning what works for us, what works for you. So it's fine.
I think that's really what it comes down to. I think that's life itself is a little bit of trial and error. Like you don't get it right on the first try. And in that episode, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of sad because we went on this like little tangent about life and life plans. And if I remember correctly, I was talking about the fact that, you know, my nephew is really wanting to get into cooking, you know, because that's every episode we talk about cooking.
Yeah, he wants to actually, so not only does he want to cook, he actually wants to own his own food truck, which I find very ambitious because you and I both know running a food truck is like 24/7. I mean, the work doesn't stop when you close down for the day. Like you're prepping for the next day. So I think it's ambitious, and I think that he is capable of doing it, and I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, and while I was on the road recently, I got into watching these videos on YouTube about what it takes to run like a Michelin star restaurant. And was absolutely fascinated by it. That the preparation for this stuff starts at like 9 or 10 in the morning. You're in there prepping, you know, side dishes. You're chopping the fish guys coming in, the meat guys coming in, and it's you would think like, oh yeah, you open a restaurant and it's easy. You go in there like around noon or like 3 in the afternoon and whip up some stuff. Like no, it doesn't work like that at all. It's a lot of fucking work.
I mean, I think in general, the restaurant industry is like something that a lot of people don't appreciate as much. You know, they appreciate the good customer service and obviously the food, right? The experience. But I don't think a lot of people, it's kind of like with any job, if you think about it, they don't really think of all the stuff that's done behind the scenes. And it's just, the restaurant industry is hardcore. And to survive for more than 5 years is impressive, in my opinion, because there's just so much to do and it's nonstop. And then not to mention, you also have a staff that you have to, you know, help train and educate and manage a little bit.
Yeah, and we've got a good couple of friends of ours that are in the restaurant business, and you know, I think regardless of what you own, the margins are already pretty lean as is. And then yeah, you talk about like making, you know, if the food prices go up in today's economy, like things are tough as is to cook at home. I can only imagine what it's like to own a restaurant. So
well, I mean, yeah, and think about it. Your consumers also get upset when you have to increase your price because of the fact that cost of food and production obviously have increased, which is what we're dealing with this day and age. You know, I mean, every restaurant I go into recently, even if it's like a little mom and pop diner, the price has increased no matter what.
Yeah, and I can imagine that's tough, man. But in that, what we were talking about in that episode, you know, that we'll, I don't know, maybe we'll just call it the re-record right now, is that that everybody has a plan in life, and that, you know, sometimes it sucks when that plan doesn't work. You know, there's tons of people that we know who started off on one career and had their heart set on it, and it just didn't work out.
I mean, yeah, I'm a pretty good example of that. If you think about it, originally when I started my career, I wanted to be in the nursing industry. I'm nowhere remotely close to the nursing industry this day and age. So, I mean, you know, and I don't regret it. You know, I think it takes a very special person to be a nurse. I was a CNA for a couple of years, and that was a lot of hard work and dedication. And going through that process, I realized, nursing field, not for me.
Yeah, and some of that resiliency that people just don't have necessarily to like take a failure, take a loss, get themselves back up, and keep on moving. I feel like today's day and age, I feel like that's increasingly rare that people don't really know how to go to plan B. Like, it's totally okay to have a plan B. Mm-hmm. and to go to it. And I think that's maybe what a lot of our friends are learning these days is, you know, hey, it's tough out there in the job market right now, and it's okay to have a plan B.
Yeah, I feel like it's tough in the job market. I think it's tough in life in general. But sometimes I think not even having a plan, just going with the flow, puts you in these positions that you've never really considered before that works out. You know, it's like I never considered myself working in the banking industry when I first started. It was just a random apply. And then here I am.
Yeah, and you know, it's the random apply, I think is I don't know, sometimes like that's a blessing in disguise, man. Because like my current job, like I was a blind apply. I didn't think I was going to get hired, but I mean, and I think one of the things that, you know, in episode 1 we were talking about our early adult life. I think it is incredible that when we got married, that you were so like driven to work and bring something into the house, because, you know, I was a young Air Force, you know, E3. I mean, we were surviving off of that, and when you moved in, like you were walking back and forth to work to a grocery store, like probably a quarter mile away.
Let's just talk about that real quick. Like, not to backtrack, but like being in the Air Force, for some reason, there is a lot of people out in the world that thinks when you serve in the military, you're making bank. To be clear, you never made bank in the military.
No.
We actually, I think
we paid out of pocket a little bit for our apartment.
Yeah, because we did. I mean, everywhere we end up renting, we always paid a little bit out of pocket, just because we wanted either a safer area or a bigger apartment or condo or whatever, right? But there's this conspiracy theory that people, not even conspiracy theory, there's a rumor or however you want to
misunderstanding.
Yeah,
is I
there's
think
a
what it comes down to.
misconception. It's definitely a misconception because enlisted people do not get paid bank. The only thing that's truly worth it, if you're thinking payment wise, is the medical benefits, right? The medical benefits is what really makes it. Obviously the travel. If you're a person who likes to travel, moving every 3 years works wonderfully, right? But it's just crazy that, to me, a lot of people have this assumption that people make a lot of money in the military when in actuality you really don't when you're enlisted. And, it's like you said, when we first got married, I didn't have any employment. The first job I took was being a cashier at Food Lion. And I used to walk back and forth to work for the longest time because I didn't want to, I grew up differently. My grandmother taught me some financial aspects, and my grandfather always had this theory that you had to save up your money to buy something versus taking out credit cards or a payment plan or whatever, right? The house they paid for outright when they got married because they were engaged for like 8 years saving up money to build a house. Same thing with their furniture. They didn't go and apply for credit at Ashley or Rooms to Go. They paid for it outright. They saved money. My grandmother worked numerous jobs as a server for that cash tip to be able to do those things. So, needless to say, the Food Lion wasn't too far from our apartment complex, and I didn't see the urgency in me getting a car loan for a car when I could physically walk back and forth. And I think I didn't get a car for probably close to 2.5, 3 years, because that's when I started at the bank, and I had to get a car because that was obviously further distance.
Yeah, and I remember for better part of like a year and a half, every lunch break that I could sneak, because I was just down the road at the base. I think every lunch break that I possibly could, I would rush back to the apartment, pick you up, drive you over there, or whatever you needed. Because I was like, okay, she says she's cool with the little walk, because it was maybe a quarter mile, if that, and it wasn't so bad. But like, I just kept thinking about that. I was like, we had like one car. I don't think we got our first credit card, because I was very much the same way. I was like, I was raised, like, make sure you have a savings, make sure you have, money set to the side. You don't need a credit card. I don't even think we got our first credit card until we've been married for probably almost 5 years. And
no, the first credit card we got was when we were in the apartment complex, and we got it because we didn't have enough credit, because I think we were originally trying to get a new vehicle. Originally, I wanted a new vehicle versus a used vehicle or whatever. And we tried to get a new vehicle, but we didn't have enough credit, so we didn't qualify at the time because of that. So you and I both got Capital One credit cards with like a $500 limit, so we could, build up our credit, because we didn't really have any. But to me, it's like, I think that was normal for me, to be honest. If I reflect back, I think that's pretty normal, because when I think about my time in Pennsylvania, when I lived in Pennsylvania, I used to walk and back. I worked at Walmart, and I used to walk back and forth to Walmart. And before I started working at Walmart, I used to clean dog kennels in Pennsylvania, and I used to walk back and forth to that. That one was quite a hike, but I used to walk back and forth there. So that kind of seemed like my normalcy, to be honest, and I was pretty comfortable with it. And then, I eventually had to grow up and get a car.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that that my dad admires about you, because right after my parents were divorced, he was walking probably like 2 or 3 miles to somewhere to just like work on the side, just for a little extra money and everything. But the credit card thing is something that, reflecting back on it myself, that I don't think the military does a good job of preparing young service members for that. Is one of the first things you see when you get out of basic training is you're like, oh yeah, apply for your military star card, get the credit card,
which,
whatever.
By the
else.
way, has horrible interest rate. Even if you have flawless credit, like the creme de la creme, it still is horrible interest rate. And I think that's the problem when it comes to the military specifically. If you think about it, I feel like the military is really heavily targeted on financial debt. And the reason why I say that is because, one, you don't get paid a lot as an enlisted person. And most enlisted soldiers have families, and sometimes the spouses work, sometimes they don't, just whatever is best for their family, right? So you only have $200 in your bank account. Star card sounds amazing right there, or the soldiers that just get out of basic and AIT or whatever it's called. And they live on base in the dorms. They get that bright, shiny new car, but their credit isn't there. So their interest rate is high because of it, right? I just think the military in general is really heavily targeted, and I think that's the reason why there's so many coaching now for the military members on financial debt. And that's why we also have certain federal laws too. But I don't even think, thinking about it, to be completely honest, it's not just the military though. If you think about it, it's society this day and age. You and I, for example, went to Sam's Club to get a membership, and they said, hey, you can qualify for our premium tier level of membership if you apply for the credit card.
Yeah, that's the one that gets you every single time.
Here's the caveat to this, which really burns my ass. Even if you don't qualify and you get denied, we'll still give you the premium tier level. First of all, you should not be advertising that at all, because there are a lot of people with terrible credit. And what people don't realize is when you go to apply for that credit card, it's actually going to hit your credit.
Yes, it makes your credit worse.
So it actually affects your credit even more and brings down your credit even more when you're trying to rebuild it up, right? Another issue I have with it is, to me, that's false advertisement. And the reason why I say that is, sure, it sounds great, right? Say you get it, you actually get approved. They don't really go over the disclosures with you. They just hand you the disclosures. When you go somewhere and you open an account somewhere, are you actually reading those disclosures?
Probably not, because some of these are like 22, 25, 28%.
Exactly. And they're very fine print. They should really be going over that. They should really be going over the interest rate if there's an annual fee or a monthly fee. That's the reason why I have problem with credit card in general. Now, don't take my rant as me being this perfect credit score woman, because I'm not, by no means. Mitchell and I started with no credit, and then we got great credit, and then we tanked our credit, and then we rebuilt our credit back up.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting that I'm not sure if we mentioned this already. Like, you and I started literally with nothing. Like, you were coming out of Pennsylvania with maybe like a half a car's worth of shit.
I literally had 1 5-gallon tote full of stuff, and that's it.
And I was coming off of the base from, I just came off the base with maybe like 2 carloads worth of the shit. And for the first, I don't know, almost year that we were married, our living room furniture was 2 air mattresses that we stuck on top of each other. and we put a sheet over it so we could sit on it. And then we had
It was our couch, and then it became our bed at night.
yeah, and then our entertainment center I actually bought from On Base, and it was the nicest piece of furniture we had. And then our coffee table was one of those 5-gallon totes you were just talking about, where we put it upside down and then we put the top on it. But you couldn't put stuff on opposite sides of it because it would just flip over. But
well, no, it actually was a 5-gallon tote that you had this tiger
the picture frame.
Yeah, you had
Yeah.
some tiger picture either from high school or when you were in Korea. And we used to put, excuse me, we put that on top of the tote, and that was our table for the longest time. And we lived like that for 1.5 to close to 2 years. And the amazing part is whenever we always looked forward to my in-laws coming to visit because one, I actually do love my in-laws. They're amazing humans. But another reason why we truly loved them was anytime they came to visit, Mary or Tony would buy us a piece of furniture or stock our fridge full of food, because our normal staple for food was either chicken fajitas, because we can make that stretch for like 3 or 4 days, or spaghetti or baked ziti.
Yeah, the ziti was a regular thing. Like you were always making the ziti.
Yeah, because we can stretch that for like 3 days.
Yeah. One of the things that I also remember, this very fond memory from like early marriage, and you might not remember this one, but we had our little like 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. And strangely enough, that bathroom in the apartment was gigantic.
Yeah, it was big.
Yeah,
it was like bigger than our closet, actually.
Unnecessarily big. And we had been married for maybe, I don't know, a month at this point. And I'm in there getting ready. I got my uniform on. I'm brushing my teeth and everything. And then you come into the bathroom and you pop a squat on the toilet. You start doing your business. And I'm like, I have the toothbrush. I'm like, what are you doing? You're like, well, I gotta go. And I'm like, and then it dawned on me, like, well, this is just married life now. This is what this is. Like, I'm so used to getting ready in the morning, doing my hair when I still had hair and everything like that. And then like you just come in there and just plop the squat, and I was like, oh yeah, I got
Well, I feel like as a married couple, you should feel comfortable enough to either do a number one or hell, even shit in front of your partner. Like at this point, you've seen me naked.
There's really nothing else to hide at this point. Would I only have like one pooping spot in the house, and that's downstairs.
Well, yes, here you have one pooping spot, which is downstairs. But back in the day, we only had the 1-bedroom apartment, so we had to share that toilet, and then we also had to share it with our friends and family when they came to visit, or friends came over to hang out.
I don't know why they put up with us.
I just feel like any house I have in the future should always have a minimum 2 bathrooms.
Yeah. Well, hey, so I mentioned I was out of town for a little bit. I went to Germany. Little work trip out
went to
and back.
Deutschland.
Yes, out to visit some Germans, and it was fun. It was a good time. It's always interesting dealing with foreign countries. Like I mean, I've gotten more used to it the more often I go over there, and figuring out the train stations. We always give funny nicknames to those places, but I got a bunch of chocolate while I was there. And you and I said that we would try this one. If I open it up, you want to try a piece of chocolate with me?
Yeah.
Yeah. This was the number one requested thing while I was telling a few folks that I was going to Germany, and what did every last person say they wanted?
Everyone told you they wanted chocolates.
Chocolate.
I didn't really tell you what I wanted, but I don't think I had anything in my head, because I lived in Germany. I wouldn't mind going back to visit one day.
Yeah.
But I did live in Germany.
I think I got your gift figured out. I know that you're a plant girl, so I when I was in Holland, I had to make sure I got you some flowers. I didn't learn about the import rules for tulip bulbs until I was there, and apparently you can't bring that shit into the States. But also when I got to customs, they just said, "Did you bring anything home?" I was like, "Just chocolate." But no, I didn't bring the tulip bulbs in, but no.
No, you got me wooden tulips from Holland, and they are absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, so I haven't had this before. It's 34% of this. Cheers is German hazelnuts.
Do one of those ASMR. So disgusting.
Oh, hold on a second. I got to do the true ASMR. I got to do the.
You know, there are people that actually fall asleep to those videos.
Really?
Yeah.
I couldn't do
There
it.
are people who find the chewing, which, by the way, I find very awkward when you're like smacking. But they find it very soothing.
I couldn't do it. No way. There's no way. I know people who don't even like the sound of chewing. So there's going to be people listening to this who are like, I don't even want to listen to this episode anymore.
I'm Korean. We like the slurping.
And you're a burper. I know that you like to burp when you have to get done eating. I don't know if you know this, but in Korea, that's a sign of like endearment for the chef.
Well, yeah, it was a good meal.
It was a good meal. That's one of the things. I had a lot of good food in Germany too. We went to a pho restaurant the first night. Well, the first full night I was there. And I ate so much soup. And one of the things I almost forgot about when it comes to Germany is I forgot how north it is on the earth. And this time of year, it's light outside till like 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night. It means a little bit of light. And man, the first full night I was there, I met up with some friends. And we were just like having some beers. We were just laughing and having a great time. And I looked down at my watch. And I'm like, holy shit. It is 9:45 at night, and we are still out here, and we're like 6 beers into this. Like, this is going to be a rough morning.
Yeah, because I even sent you a text saying, you good? Because I had the Germany's time on my phone, so I can make sure I don't, interrupt your sleep or whatever, right? And I looked, and it was like 10 o'clock, and I was like, is he good? Because normally Mitchell's an early bed person. He's like, you're typically in bed
about 9:30 at the latest sometimes.
Yesterday, honey, you were sleeping in the living room at 8 o'clock. Actually, before 8.
I'm going to blame it on the jet lag.
You're not even. It's been a few days now.
That's true. One of the things too that when I got over to Germany, I told my boys, I was like, hey, just so you know. Like, I don't really drink anymore, so like if we go out for beers, like don't be too harsh on me. And they're like, Mitch, I cannot believe you're going to fly halfway across the world to see us, and you're not going to have a beer with us. So I was like, yeah, and I noticed that for me, I don't drink beer hardly at all. Even back when I was still drinking regularly, like I was always like a clear brown liquor kind of guy. Like, there's no fucking way I'm having beers. For whatever reason, the German beers don't give me like that bloated feel, like you're like drinking like a loaf of bread kind of situation. Very easy drinking beers, even the dark ones, very smooth. I think it comes down to their beer laws there are very strict.
Are they?
Very strict. You can only have, I think it's like either 3, don't quote me on this, I think it's only like a maximum of 3 or 4 ingredients in your beer, and that's it.
Well, that's amazing. That's what a lot of people look for in the U.S. now. There are a lot of people making things from scratch now because, let's take bread, for example. You go to the grocery store, the index or the ingredients list is like this long.
Yeah, it's got shit you can't produce, like maltodextrin. Like, why is that in there?
You just need flour, water, salt, yeast. I
think that's what German beer is. I think it's literally just like barley, hops, water, and that's it.
Yeah.
We got back to the States, and we were in the airport, and they're like, hey, let's have like one more beer before we all go home. And I was like, all right, this is it. Like, when I go home, I'm going back to my no drinking phase. And I had like a domestic beer. I won't say what it is because I fucking hated it is what it was. Like, after having like a week of like good sipping beers and so on from Germany, I got that airport beer, and it was fucking terrible. Like I had like immediately just like the burps. I was like, oh God, I feel like shit.
Do you also feel like maybe it's also like the fermentation time or whatever for the beers? Because like beers are fermented, right?
Yeah, you know what I think it is a lot of domestic, like mass-produced beers. Their fermentation sugars they use is a high fructose corn syrup. So there's a lot of high fructose corn syrup in beers, and so it gives you like that like really full kind of heavy feel. And I think I think a lot of even smaller craft breweries, I think they over malt their beers, and we're just like, guys, come on, like you got to pull this back. It's either like super malty or very hoppy. There's like very few in betweens. That's just like a good light Pilsner beer, you know, that you can get.
Interesting. I do prefer German beer over American beer, to be completely honest. There is, I think, only one brewery in town that I've enjoyed their brews. Doesn't feel as heavy, doesn't feel as hoppy.
You can tell me after the podcast who it is.
Yeah. And then, but my preference is a German beer. If I can't get a German beer and I'm not at that brewery, then I'm going to get a cider. Yeah,
to me, it's just nothing these days. It's just, and it's weird too.
Well, I mean, I'm with you. I hardly ever drink, but, you know, from time to time, if I might be in the mood, I might have had a really horrible work day. You know, some people work out, some people drink, some people read a book.
I still get down with the red wines, man. I think that was a part of the missing episode too.
I just realized on this table that you must be carrying on the tradition of carving the names into the table. So just as a background, this table is my friend Jen's, whose episode's going to be released soon. This is her table. She loves it dearly. Her son and his friends and some of her family members carved their name into the table. So Mitchell and I did. And I've just noticed Mr. F on here and Zach.
Yeah. So when Zach came by, he saw that knife over there that I've had on the table for a while. And before the podcast started, he was checking out the knife, and he saw all the names carved. He goes, "Oh, I'll just add my name to it." And then Dad and I recorded an episode of the podcast, and he did the same thing. He goes, "Oh, well, I'll make sure that I add myself to it." So,
yeah, I mean, I love it because this is like the tradition that Jen started, you know, with her family and friends, and it's now carrying on over here to our family and friends. And I think she would love that. Did she see this?
I don't think she did see it.
Interesting.
You know, my name's right here on this side. I did that one. I don't know.
Definitely going to know about it now.
Well, yeah,
but
now she's going to know.
I think that would make her warm and fuzzy because originally you did ask her if you can paint the table, and she told you no.
No, yeah, it was a hard no on the paint because it would have covered up a lot of these names. You know, some people that we do know, some people we haven't met before, but there's always time for that.
Yeah, there's quite a few people on here that I have met, but I've been over at her house more often than.
And you know, we got a lot of room on this table. You can't really tell on the cameras here how big this table actually is, but it's pretty sizable. And so I think we got tons of room to keep scratching names on this thing for everybody who comes by and do the podcast.
Yeah, well, not to throw off the conversation we were having, but yeah, that caught my eye, and I was like, oh.
Nah, we were just talking about beers.
Nice.
Yeah. And, you know, I got one of the things I love to do, I got to do in Germany a lot, is drive. I got to drive the German countryside quite a bit. Very strict laws over there. You would assume like, oh, the Autobahn goes fast as you want.
I think a lot of people have the assumption of the Autobahn. Like that's it.
It's fun. I got a rental car up to about 170 kilometers an hour. So I think that was about 120 miles per hour or something like that. It was pretty far up there.
On the Autobahn?
On the unrestricted portion of the Autobahn.
Why are you going so fast? That's dangerous.
Well, the other people were going fast. And I was like, well, I'm not going to go all the way to Germany and not go fast in the Autobahn. Yeah. Maybe it was like 165. It was up there. It was like 165.
Whatever.
Kilometers per hour.
Either way, it's pretty fast.
Hey, I'm here. I didn't flip off into a windmill somewhere.
If I was there, I'd be like, be careful.
Yeah, you would have been nagging. I swear somebody would have hit the brakes, you know, a half a mile in front of us. I would have heard about it.
I was driving to work today and like, you know, I take the back road to get onto 301 And there's this girl that obviously saw me driving. I'm like going 55, and she just decides, I'm going to pull out slowly in front of her. So I'm literally honking my horn. I'm like, meh. She keeps going. And I'm like, what is she doing? So I honk again, and she then gets in the opposite lane and just lets me pass and then gets behind me. It was a whole thing. But my point is bad drivers.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that. I had a rant, and I guess I had to get it over with.
Yeah, you lost it. It's okay. Shit happens to me too.
No, I didn't lose it. That's what it was. But what I'm saying is, like, when we're talking about the Autobahn, that's in reckless drivers, that's what made me think of my rant from this morning. Because, like, I swear, I don't have a problem when I drive the truck. When I drive Ruby, nobody bothers me.
Can we say that Ruby is the truck?
Yes, Ruby's the truck. But and I have a Volkswagen Jetta. Her name is Joan Jetta. When I drive Joan, it's like everybody wants to hit grandma.
Well, there you know. This is a grandma car. That's one of the things in Germany, though. On the highway, so you can go as fast as you want in certain sections, completely unrestricted, I guess within reason. But then you'll go down to like 100-kilometer-mile-an-hour zone.
On the Autobahn,
right?
On
the Autobahn, yeah. But there's sections that you're going through the villages and around the villages where you may drop down to 100 kilometers an hour, which is 60 miles per hour or 80 and stuff like that. So you're not balls to the wall the whole time. But like when you are, like, don't be in the far left lane if you're not going to be doing like sports car speeds.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably dangerous. You'll probably most likely get hit.
But this is where I was going with it, man. Is the Autobahn very, very organized? Like, people know what they're doing. They're very aware. And fuck, my rental car had so many sensors on it. If I got a little too close or whatever else, it constantly was telling me what speed I should be going, and no issues at all. Just today on 295 going around town.
Oh, do you have a rant too?
Yeah, I have a rant. If you drive a Dodge Ram or a Ram pickup truck, fuck you is what I'm going with. Because for whatever reason, every single time I get somebody who wants to tailgate me, I'm already doing on the highway maybe 5, 10 over, just kind of keeping up with traffic. It's these fucking Ram drivers that just want to drive up.
Were you in the left lane?
I was passing somebody, and then I was like, well, I'm passing somebody on the right side, so I'm in the left lane. I was like, well, there's somebody else maybe like another 50 yards up, so I'm going to keep going. I'm going to pass a few people. And then some dipshit driving a black Dodge Ram just comes flying up behind me. And I was like, wow, you're close enough. I can smell what you ate for lunch. And I'm like, this cocksucker, just give me a second. I'm passing people. Ugh, I don't know.
Well, it's funny because people will always tell me when they talk about Fayetteville drivers, and then I talk about how I lived in Las Vegas, they'll be like, oh, well, Vegas has to be crazier than Fayetteville. And I'm like, no,
not at all.
Las Vegas is chaotic, but it's an organized chaos. And everyone goes the same speed. There's not an old biddy that's going 35 when it's 60, Fayetteville, I feel like...
Why are our drivers so bad here?
So this is my theory. I think the reason why we have bad drivers, and this is just my humble opinion, I think it's because we have Bragg, right? We have Fort Bragg with all these soldiers from various states and places that are showing off their new shiny cars. And I think that's the reason why we have bad drivers. I don't think it's like... this is going to sound bad. I don't think that it's the locals. I think it's the people who are temporarily here.
I see what you did there, and I appreciate it. Yes, and we can prove that Fayetteville has worse drivers than Las Vegas because our car insurance went up quite a bit from Vegas to North Carolina, or really to Fayetteville. When we moved here, it was like even what I had at the time, I had like I had a sports car at the time, and you had an SUV at the time, and we come back out here, and I'm like, well, wait a second, Like, my insurance for the sports car out there in Vegas is a hell of a lot cheaper. Like, what's going on out here? Like, well, that's just the rates around here.
Yeah,
there's a lot
I
of
had
accidents.
a small SUV too. It was nothing major. Like, it was just a small Equinox. It was nothing fancy.
Yeah.
But for some reason, when we moved here, our insurance premiums definitely went up. But
It fucking sucks, is what it did.
I just feel like it's the area we live in. Again, I think it's because of Fort Bragg, if you ask me, but that's just me.
You know what I think the insurance premiums go up for? It's my aunt and uncle and all her kids to be getting in accidents all the damn time.
Well, listen, I'm not going to say anything because I'm not the world's best driver by no means.
Knock on wood, you've
But
only
I
had one minor accident.
I have not been in an accident.
Same. I haven't been in an accident either. Well, you have taken out a mailbox. There's a very famous incident with that.
There's a difference. I've taken things out, but I have not been in an accident with another vehicle.
All right.
Minus the time in Virginia where I backed my car into your car and then blamed it on the neighbor.
Well, I think it's fair because I backed my truck into your car one time.
Oh, you...
It's on Ring camera too.
Yeah,
by the way.
I have the video saved. You literally wheeled over my car.
Surprisingly, that car is totally fine though.
The car's fine. I didn't have but a small dent from that. I have more of a dent on my on my driver's door from someone hitting it at work and then obviously not notifying me, which is why now I park way in the back.
It's true.
I mean, Joan's not a brand new car. She's a 2012 Volkswagen diesel with only 70,000 miles on it. That bitch is going to last probably longer than me. So, like, I'm trying to keep her as pretty as I can.
It's true. Hey, speaking of getting old, you got a birthday this week.
I do.
And I will say this is my favorite time of year because between June and September, I tell everybody that I possibly can that I married an older woman. Because right now, you and I are the same age, right?
Yeah, but, like, it's just fascinating how because you make it seem like I'm this cougar when in actuality, I'm only a couple months older than you.
It's kind of hot, though. I'm not going to lie. Like, yeah, I married an older woman, you know.
But when people look at us, appearance-wise, you look way older than me. And I'm not saying a little. I'm saying way older than me.
You know what's really fucks me down, man, is I tell people that, like...
Sorry.
You know where this is going. I tell people, I'm like, yeah, you know, surprisingly, I'm not even 40 yet. And they look at me, they're just, it's a double look of like confusion and just like pity. They're like, really?
Yeah. Well, I call it the head tilt, like the dog trying to understand what you're saying.
Because
it's like, have you noticed, like, when your friends tell people they're going through the divorce, they're like, yeah, I'm going through divorce. They always do the, oh, I'm so sad. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. How are you doing?
And then most of the time, the people who are going through divorce respond back with like a nod, like, I'm good.
I'm good. Yeah. It's the gray hair. And I actually had somebody ask if I dye this. I do not dye this. This is just natural gray hair. And sometimes before you turn 40, you just get grays on your beard and on your hair. But yeah, I don't know. People were like, yeah, you look like 45. And I was like, you know what? Go fuck yourself. I had a stressful job in the military and I ate like milk.
Well, and you're married to me too, which I'm sure is a factor. But, it's definitely something that makes you look more distinguished.
It's a silver fox thing. I've been told, like, some... it could be you. Some people are into the gray hair on the guys. It's a whole silver fox. Like,
what's so crazy is, as a woman, I don't necessarily find things like that like attractive or like something I'm looking for. Can you hear Bruce?
I can hear those. So I hope that the microphones are picking up our Chihuahua having a complete mental breakdown downstairs, screaming. Okay, maybe.
But that's never really been my thing, like men's hair or like the salt and pepper thing. And I've never been into older men. So Maybe I am a cougar.
Maybe you are a cougar. Well, do you want to give these young whippersnappers any worldly advice before we get out of here for the night?
No.
Yeah.
Like I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing with my life. So
and
no.
that's what we call this funny life, man. That's both of our dogs downstairs howling now.
I'm dead.
What a good way to end the episode, babe. I love you so much. Mwah. Thanks for doing this. And what do we say?
Toodles.
Peace.